The screen was a harsh white light. It buzzed quietly. Leo stared at it. He did not see the words. He saw only a cage. For 5 years, this was his world. A small desk, a gray cubicle, a chair that always squeaked. Every day was the same. Wake up, drive to work, stare at the screen, go home, sleep, repeat. He felt like a ghost, a machine that typed and clicked. His soul was tired. It was a deep, heavy tired. Coffee did not help. Sleep did not help. That morning, his boss, Mr. Henderson, walked by. He did not look at Leo. He looked at a paper in his hand. "Leo," he said, "I need those reports by noon. No excuses." The words were simple. They were not mean. But for Leo, they were the last drop in a full cup. The cup overflowed. Something inside him snapped. A quiet, clean break. He stood up. The chair gave a loud squeak. Everyone in the office looked. Leo looked at Mr. Henderson. His voice was calm. "I quit," he said. Silence. The only sound was the hum of the computers. Mr. Henderson's mouth opened, then closed. Leo did not wait for an answer. He picked up his coat. He walked to the door. He did not look back. Outside, the city air was cold on his face. It felt real. For the first time in years, he felt real. He took a deep breath. Then, a wave of fear washed over him. Cold, sharp fear. "What did I just do?" he whispered to the empty street. He walked without a destination. His feet moved, but his mind was still in that quiet office. He thought about his rent, his bills, his future. It was a big, blank page. He sat on a park bench and pulled out his phone. His hands were shaking. He called his wife, Sarah. "Hi," he said. His voice was small. "I did something." Sarah was quiet on the other end. Leo could hear her breathing. "Are you okay?" she asked first. Not "what did you do" or "are you crazy?" Just "are you okay?" A tear rolled down Leo's cheek. "I am now," he said. The first week was strange. No alarm clock, no rush hour traffic. The silence in their small apartment was loud. He would wake up and just sit. He watched the dust dance in the sunbeams. One morning, he opened his closet. He saw his work shirts, all lined up. Gray, blue, white. A uniform for a life he no longer lived. He felt a strange sadness. It was like saying goodbye to a part of himself, even a part he didn't like. The fear came back at night. It was a heavy blanket. He would lie awake and look at the ceiling. He saw numbers floating there, the numbers in his bank account. They were getting smaller. Sarah was his rock. "We will figure it out," she said every day, together. Her belief in him was a small light in the darkness. After 2 weeks, he started looking for a job. He polished his resume. He scrolled through job websites. Marketing specialist, project manager. The same titles, the same gray cubicles. His stomach twisted with each application. He didn't want to go back. He couldn't. The thought of another 5 years like the last was impossible. To escape the screen, he started taking long walks. He went to the park every afternoon. He watched the dogs chase balls. He saw old couples holding hands. He noticed the world again. One day, it rained. He stayed inside. He felt restless. He wandered into the kitchen. On a dusty shelf, he found a book. It was his grandmother's recipe book. The pages were yellow and soft. He opened it. Her handwriting was a beautiful looping script. He found a recipe for simple sourdough bread. He remembered her kitchen, the smell of baking bread, the warmth of the oven, a happy memory. He found flour in the back of the pantry. He found yeast. He followed the instructions. His hands felt clumsy. Flour covered the counter. It was a mess, but he was smiling. A few hours later, a warm, wonderful smell filled the apartment. It was the smell of home, of comfort, of something good and simple. He pulled the loaf from the oven. It was golden brown, not perfect, but beautiful. He cut a slice. The crust was crunchy, the inside was soft. He ate it with butter. It was the best thing he had ever tasted because he made it with his own 2 hands. He baked another loaf the next day and another the day after that. He had extra. He gave a loaf to his neighbor, Mrs. Gable. She was an old woman who lived alone. She called him later that evening. "Leo," she said, her voice full of delight, "that was the best bread I've had in 30 years. You have a gift, my dear." A gift. The word stayed with him. He had never thought of himself as having a gift. He was a man who wrote reports, not a man who created something, not a man with a gift. An idea started to form, a tiny, fragile seed of an idea. What if this was more than a hobby? The idea was terrifying. It was also exciting. He talked to Sarah. "It's crazy," he said. "I can't make a living selling bread." Sarah took his hand. "Is it crazier than being unhappy every single day?" she asked. So he tried. He started small. He found out about a local farmer's market. He rented a small table for one Saturday. He spent all week baking. His apartment was a warm, flower-dusted haven. That Saturday morning, he was so nervous. He arranged his 10 loaves of bread on the table. They looked small in the big market. People walked by. They smiled, but they didn't stop. For an hour, he sold nothing. The fear came back, the heavy blanket. This was a stupid idea, he thought. He was ready to pack up. Then a young woman stopped. She smelled a loaf. "This smells amazing," she said. "I'll take one." She handed him $5. Leo held the money in his hand. It was just $5, but it felt like $1 million. It was the first money he had earned for himself, for his passion. After that, another person stopped, and another. By the end of the day, he had sold every loaf. He packed up his empty table, his heart full. It was not easy. There were hard days. Days he burned the bread. Days he sold only 2 loaves. Days he wanted to give up, but he never did. He loved the work. He loved the early mornings. He loved the feel of the dough in his hands. He loved the smiles on his customers' faces. He was not a ghost anymore. He was a baker. 1 year later, Leo was still at the market. His table was bigger now. He had a colorful sign that said Leo's Bread. People came every week. They didn't just buy bread, they talked to him. They shared stories. He was part of a community. He didn't make a lot of money, less than he made at his old job, but he had enough, and he had something more important. He had joy. Sometimes he thought about the man in the gray cubicle, the man who was afraid to leave a job he hated. He felt sorry for him, but he also felt grateful. That man had to break so this new man could be born. Quitting his job was the scariest thing Leo had ever done. It felt like an ending, but it wasn't. It was the beginning of everything. Today, Leo doesn't just have a table at the market. He has a small shop. The air inside is always warm and smells of fresh bread and cinnamon. Sarah works with him, her laughter brighter than the morning sun. Their hands are often covered in flour, but their hearts are full. He no longer wakes up to a buzzing alarm clock, but to the gentle light of dawn, excited to create something beautiful. It wasn't just about changing jobs, it was about choosing a life that, every single day, felt as warm and wonderful as his fresh-baked bread. If you feel trapped in a life that drains you, listen to that quiet voice inside. You don't always need a perfect plan. You need a first step. Start small. Try something real. Try something yours. Fear means you care, but regret lasts longer. Build a life that feels warm, not just safe. A small, brave move today can become a whole new life tomorrow.